Early retirement can be wonderful if you have the right plan in place. Unfortunately, many people end up regretting it because they make one or more common mistakes. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 5 common mistakes people make when they retire early, and I'm going to teach you what you can do to avoid them. Hey everybody, I'm James Knoll, founder of Root Financial, and I'm here to teach you how to get the most out of life with your money. Retirement can be a wonderful thing, and early retirement just provides you that much more time to really pursue what you want. So if you're going to do this, it's crucial to understand what potential pitfalls are there. What are the mistakes people make when they do this so that you can make sure you avoid them? So let's go through 5 common mistakes people make when they retire early so you can make the most of your retirement. The first mistake that people make is they don't know what they're retiring to. If you're going to retire early, this isn't the case 100% of the time, but the majority of time, if you're retiring earlier, it's not because you absolutely love doing what you're doing for work. It's probably because there's some aspect of work or many aspects of work that you're not trying to go to every day. You're trying to escape that and do something different. Now, when that's the case, when you are hyper-focused on retiring early and getting out of work, oftentimes you can become so focused on leaving work and retiring from work that you don't know what you're retiring to. So if your only reason for retiring early is to escape work, but you don't have a corresponding life plan for what do you want to do with that new freedom, what do you want to do with that new time, you're going to find that this is incomplete. You're going to find that it's great that first Monday when you can sleep in and not have to go to work. But after a few weeks or a few months, you're going to start to realize that something's missing because you haven't designed a life that you want to retire to. What I'll often talk to clients about is a financial plan without a life plan is incomplete. So what if the finances are in order? So what if you have the portfolio and the income sources and the tax strategy and everything that goes along with that, but you retire into an empty life, a life where you don't feel as if you have purpose or meaning or even enjoyment? Well, we're really incomplete there. So how do you create that life plan of what you want your life to look like when you're no longer working and even when you are still working? Now, this doesn't have to be complicated. It's as simple as understanding what's really important to me. This could be health. This could be family, this could be faith, this could be friendship, this could be activities. What's really important to you? And then write down, how am I going to spend money in a way that allows me to pursue that? How am I going to spend money in a way that promotes my health? How am I going to spend money in a way that promotes healthy relationships with my family or with my friends? So as you start to think through that, it doesn't have to be complicated, but you do need to have a plan for what you're going to do and how your finances are ultimately going to support that. Because you could have all the money in the world, but if there's not a life plan or a sense of what am I retiring into, it's going to be incomplete and you're not going to have the retirement that you dream about. The second mistake people make when they retire early is they have the wrong impression of risk. Now, if you talk to the average retiree and ask them what risk looks like, well, it's probably having something to do with the market dropping 30, 40, 50% and wanting a portfolio that's going to protect that. Now, that's true to an extent for that person. There's certainly an element of truth to that. However, the real risk is you losing your purchasing power over time. In other words, not being able to keep up with inflation to maintain your lifestyle all the way throughout retirement. The way that risk presents itself is when you're too conservative and your money's just not keeping up with inflation. Now, that's with the traditional retirement. If you retire early, that risk is magnified. If you're retiring early, this could be 45, 50, 55, even 60 is considered early retirement. What you have to look at is how much more so does that risk now represent a factor that I need to be aware of? Because the longer you have in retirement, the more and more that risk becomes apparent. So don't look at your retirement as if you're 65 or 70 and retiring and maybe have 20 or so years. Look at your retirement in the proper context and understand how that risk of your erosion of purchasing power becomes even more pronounced the earlier you retire. The third mistake people make when they retire early is not even considering part-time income. Now, there's 2 important reasons for this. Number 1 is sometimes it's healthy to transition into retirement instead of going cold turkey. And really, when you look at retirement, it's not so much the goal of not working. The goal is really, how can I do what I want to do? How can I do something that excites me or that challenges me or that's meaningful to me? And oftentimes, work is a wonderful outlet for that. So when we're thinking retirement, it's less about not working and it's more about fully pursuing what's actually important to you. So sometimes part-time work, even if it means making a lot less money, but doing something you fully enjoy, can be a great transition, even on a personal or psychological level, into retirement. Now, number 2, it also has profound financial impact. Now let's assume you want to retire at age 60, which isn't incredibly early, but it's earlier than the traditional retirement, and you're 55. And let's assume you're 55 and you're in your peak earning years. And you're earning, let's say, $150,000 per year, but you're working a job that maybe you don't love. And maybe the job is stressful and it's demanding and it's taking a toll on your health. And you say, okay, I could do this for 5 more years, but I'm really going to be burned out by the end of it. Or you say, you know what? I could step away from this job paying me $150 and go get a different job paying me $80,000 per year. Yes, it's paying me a lot less money, but I'd actually enjoy it. It wouldn't feel like a chore going into work. I'd have my weekends back. I'd have my evenings back. It'd be something that I'm excited to do, and it's not consuming the rest of my life. And you know what? If I did that, I probably wouldn't need to retire at 60. I could happily do that until 65 and still travel like I want to travel, still take care of my health, still spend time with my family, my friends, doing the activities I love to do. Well, look at how that actually plays out. In the first example, earning $150,000 for 5 years, that's $750,000 total dollars that would have been earned. Well, in the second example, you're only earning $80,000 per year, but you're doing it for more years. That's $800,000 of income that you earned, which is more than you would have earned in the previous example. Not just that, but because your income isn't $150, it's only $80, you're keeping a lot more of what you're earning. You're paying less in taxes, so it actually ends up being quite a bit more than you otherwise would have earned. Again, the goal isn't to say always work and always earn income, but if you can do something you enjoy that allows you to transition into full retirement, that still allows you to pursue time with family and friends and health and all the things that are important to you, and it helps you from an income perspective, that's actually much financially better than the alternative, which is let me cram all these years in my peak earning years and take a toll on my health, my relationships, and everything else. Well, the alternative is much better. The fourth mistake people make when they retire early is not practicing retirement. This kind of goes back to the first point I made. Oftentimes they're so focused on saving and investing as much as they can and cutting expenses as much as they can so that they can retire early that they're so singularly focused on that, they miss out on what am I actually going to do in retirement? And if they haven't practiced it, it's a difficult transition. It's hard to just go from working long hours, stressful hours to nothing. Now it's going to be great the first few weeks, like I said, but once that honeymoon period wears off, you're going to start thinking there's got to be more to retirement. There's got to be more to life than just this. What we encourage people to do is practice. Instead of looking at your PTO and saying, I'm going to save all those up so I get a nice payout when I actually retire, a nice cash payout, use them. Take 2 weeks off, 3 weeks off, 4 weeks off if your company allows it. Practice retirement. Take some of those trips you've always wanted to take. Does it actually feel like you wanted it to feel? Or maybe don't take a trip, but stay home for 2 weeks, 3 weeks in a row. Do a little staycation. See, what does retirement actually feel like? What would it be like to be with my spouse all day or my friends or doing the activities I want to do? What does it look like to build in the health routine and go to the gym or go on walks or eat healthy like I want to? Really start to practice it, because what you'll find is you'll say, hey, here's the things I really love doing. I want to make sure I'm devoting more energy to pursuing this. Versus, hey, I really thought I'd love this, but I actually kind of like the structure, or I kind of like the social interaction at work, or I kind of like the creative outlet that work provides. And you'll start to work through other creative ways of accomplishing that. So don't just retire cold turkey, practice it. Practice it by using your vacation or PTO, or even just understanding what would I do with my time in retirement? What does that look like in terms of, like I said, taking care of my health, spending time with friends, spending time with loved ones? Start practicing that along the way, so by the time that you make that transition, it's not the sense of, oh shoot, now what? You've already built that new identity of who you want to become outside of work. And then the fifth mistake people make when they retire early is they use conventional retirement rules that just don't apply to them. Look at the 4% rule, for example. Most people have heard of it. The 4% rule says how should you invest your portfolio and how long can that portfolio last based upon a 4% annual withdrawal rate adjusted for inflation. Well, that's great if you're retiring at 65. But that research was based upon how can we make your portfolio last for 30 years and have a very high probability of success. Well, what if you retire at 50? Is 30 years really enough? The last thing you want to do is run out of money at age 80, 81, 82. You can't go back to work at that point. So when you're looking at retirement, understand that some of these conventional rules, in terms of how you withdraw your money, they don't apply to you. You need a more nuanced withdrawal strategy that might support 40, 50 plus years of income. Another example is healthcare. If you're retiring at 65 or 66 or 67, you've got Medicare. Yes, you have to make selections about what Medicare benefits and getting set up with the right company, but Medicare is taking care of your health insurance. If you retire before then, you have to understand, do I get a plan off the exchange? Am I electing COBRA for some period of time? Am I doing something different? You really need to come up with a strategy for how are you going to meet your health insurance needs from the time that you retire until age 65. And then even where you invest your money. So for most people, the 401k is where they build most of their wealth as they prepare for retirement. Well, if you're looking to retire early and you're maxing your 401k, maybe your spouse is maxing their 401k, but you want to retire at 50, well, even if you've got a lot of money in your 401ks, but that's the only place you have it, you can't touch that money without penalty for a number of years. So how can you look at the different types of investment options available to you to say, where should I put my money now? Where am I going to plan on pulling that money in retirement? But don't just look at the conventional ways of doing things as if you're going to retire at 65. So when you start to understand some of the common mistakes people make when it comes to retiring early, you can make sure you have a plan in place to avoid them. Now, if you're looking at this and saying, I'm ready to retire, I'm not going to make these mistakes, well, be sure to check out this video here, where I walk you through 5 reasons it might be time for you to retire now. Once again, I'm James Knoll, founder of Root Financial, and if you're interested in seeing how we help our clients at Root Financial get the most out of life with their money, be sure to visit us at www.rootfinancialpartners.com.